Okay, hello everybody. Thank you for joining us for this special meeting where we're going to meet some more of our candidates that are running for the various executive committee positions. And so the way this is going to go, of course, we're going to have introductions of everybody that is on the call. And then next, I'm going to go over how we're going to actually do the interviews and ask different questions. And then from there, we'll just have some moments of feedback and talk, and then everybody will be getting ready to be dismissed to enjoy the rest of their evening. So first, in the introductions, I'll start with myself. I am Dr. LaTienda Pierre. I serve as the chair of the Louisiana Blue Team, and I am located here in Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm actually on the Caddo Parish DPET, where I serve as the District 8 representative. And so I'm going to look around my screen, and Alana, I'll start with you, going in alphabetical order.
Okay, I'm Alana Oldham, and I'm the secretary of Louisiana Blue Team. I do a lot of the web and operations day-to-day, behind-the-scenes operations stuff.
Next, Bobby.
Hello, I'm Bobby Darrow, DSCC member 6B, and I'm here to be a team player, and I'm one of the candidates being interviewed tonight.
Next, Kobe.
You'll hear plenty from me.
Hello, good evening, everybody. I'm Colby Hennigan. I'm serving as the Director of Communications for Louisiana Blue Team. And like Bobby, I'm here to be a team player and help empower all of our candidates to be their best in this race.
Next, Kathy.
Hey y'all, I'm staying off screen today because I look like I live under a bridge. I don't actually, thankfully. So I'm DSCC member 43A, and I'm running for parliamentarian also. And excited to hear from all of y'all tonight, who I think would all be great members of executive committee.
Richard.
Yes, I'm Richard Anderson. I'm a Louisiana Blue Team board member, and I am a member of the Lincoln Parish DPET appointed, and I will be one of the candidates for executive committee to be interviewed later tonight, and I'm a team player as well.
All right, thank you so much. And so now I see, starting with Katie, tell us a little bit about yourself, position you're running for.
Hello, I'm Katie Darling. I live in St. Tammany Parish, and I am the rep for DSCC 74A. And I am here to talk to y'all tonight about the first vice chair role.
All right. Next, Laurie.
Hi, I'm Laurie Herbert Constantinou. I'm on the DSCC seat 23A. I'm in Orleans Parish. I plan to run for clerk on the DSCC executive committee.
All right. And I see that Dustin has joined us. Dustin, we're just doing introductions right now, and so just tell us your name, tell us about yourself, and what position you're running for.
Hey everybody, good to see you. My name is Dustin Granger. I'm over here in Lake Charles, Louisiana. I'm in DSCC 35B, and happy to be here. For those of you who don't know me, I ran for Louisiana State Treasurer last year, statewide, and now today I'm running to be an officer of the State Democratic Party for Treasurer. So thank you.
All right. Thank you all so much for joining us. So this is how we're going to set this questioning session up. We have our board members in alphabetical order by their first name. And what we're going to go through is with each one of you all in your respectful positions, we're going to ask the board members to ask each one of you their designated question. Okay. So, for example, when it's Alana's turn to ask, she will ask each one of you a question that has been designated for you. You'll get 2 minutes to answer it, so we can make sure that we're being respectful of time. Okay. So the first question that I'm going to ask on behalf of Alana is going to be to you, Dustin. And it's going to be the following question. The party is broke and has not been transparent with financial reports and has been wasteful with spending. For example, they pay a $10,000 per month salary to executive director who is never in Baton Rouge office because she has another full-time job in New Orleans. As treasurer, what will you do to ensure honesty and transparency and rebuild the treasury?
Yeah, thank y'all for the question, because actually that's the main part of my platform, because the state party financials have been a sore point for our party for a long time. I mean, we've had a history of people taking money from the party. Look, I'm a certified financial planner. I'm a financial advisor, and I've been doing that for 20 years. And as a certified financial planner, like, we have high ethical obligations, and we're constantly having to do practice and study, like, to make sure there's no fraud. So I'm used to seeing red flags. I would point them out. And the other part of the question is, we have to be transparent with the financial statements. Of course, we don't necessarily want the Republicans or other people in the public to see everything, but especially board members, and especially where it matters, we need to show that we're financially stable and that we're not overpaying certain people for doing other jobs. And one of the benefits I have, not only have I been a treasurer for organizations, I'm also understand budgeting when it comes to personal households, also business households, but also a statewide campaign. I understand how much things cost, where we're overpaying on certain areas and where we should save money. And being the chairman of the budget committee, these are things that we will talk about often.
Thank you very much. All right. Moving on to the second question that Alana had. All right. Okay, Bobby, this question is for you. If elected second vice chair, what applicable experience do you bring to the job?
Oh gosh, I am 65 years old, and I've been involved with the Democratic Party most of my adult life. I have a little show and tell here, if I may. This is a folder that I've kept since 1990, and these are correspondence that I've had with federal officials. There we go. And the earliest of these goes back to 1990, when I was typing on a typewriter. It was pre-internet. So I've been at it a long time. I've had interest in communicating with my federal officials and getting responses back. And those conversations have gone on for years, actually. I'm retiring this month, at the end of this month, so I'm going to have a lot of time to devote. I'm still full of energy and ready to jump in. I have been in the nonprofit world most of my adult life. Prior to that, I managed very large nightclubs in Manhattan and Baton Rouge and Shreveport. And then I came back to Shreveport and got involved with nonprofits. I established the Philadelphia Center here in Shreveport, which is Northwest Louisiana's HIV and AIDS Resource Center, and served as its executive director for the first 5 years, and I'm still on their board. And for the last 27 years, I've been the managing and artistic director of the Shreveport Little Theater. I have written $5 million plus in grants, have received. Most of those were in small $20,000 or less, so it's a lot of grants over 27 years. However, I have to tell you that almost $3 million of that was capital outlay money. And I had the tenacity to go after it and got it. I worked with my local senator and representative. That was from 2008 to 2011 when our theater burned down and we needed to rebuild our nonprofit theater. So I've had that experience at the state capitol. I've also served as state president of LEGAL. It's an acronym for Louisiana Electorate of Gays and Lesbians. And that was back in the early 2000s. So I've been around the block. I'm ready to jump in. I, however, will not, unfortunately, be at the election on Saturday in Baton Rouge. This really has me concerned, and if there was any way I could get out of my obligation, I would. But another show and tell. Here is our local magazine about what's going on in the Shreveport area. And here is an article about me and my retirement party on that Saturday, the 13th. So this has been long planned, and it centers around me, and I just can't get out. So I've talked long enough, I think, but I hope you'll consider me for second vice chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. And the same question is going to also be for Katie as well. If elected first vice chair, what applicable experience do you bring to the job?
Thank you. Goodness. Okay. I think similar to Robert and Dustin, I have served on many boards in many different capacities, from being president and board chair to raising funds as development committee chair, and I've managed lots of committees from within boards. So I have a lot of board experience, specifically related to politics. I have experience from my congressional campaign a few years back. And since that time, I've been able to recruit candidates, support candidates, share the knowledge that I gained during my campaign with candidates. And that's something I want to continue to do in that first vice chair role, as well as just support a healthy executive committee team. But I think the call for this role is ultimately to hold the chair accountable at its highest level. And that's what I have heard is the most lacking from the current executive committee. And I can tell you that in my relationship with Katie Bernhardt, I've done that on a personal level. And I have already begun to build a relationship with Randall Gaines and Tyron, and feel very confident that whomever the next chair is, I will be able to have a healthy working relationship where we can hold them accountable in an effective way.
Thank you so much. Okay, now we will turn the same question over to Richard. Okay, if elected for vice chair, what applicable experience do you bring to the job?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. First of all, in my state of affairs right now, Richard Anderson will be able to serve wherever it's needed. I have served on the executive committee before, from 2008 to 2012. I know the strengths of the executive committee. I know the weakness of the executive committee. Also, I have taken oath before to obtain the highest standards of conduct and performance as a military officer with the United States Air Force. I served in that role for 13 years. In addition, I have worked in public service as an administrative assistant with the Cattle Parish Commission for over 5 years. Addition to that, I have worked as a senior district executive for the Northwell Council for the Boy Scouts of America for over 5 years, and in a couple other locations for additional 7 years. So what you'll be getting from Rich and Allen is a well-rounded individual. I have nothing but time to use. So wherever the Louisiana Democratic Party needs for me to do in supporting the mission and doing it in an effective way, I am willing to do that beginning on April the 14th. And I'm here with my wife and ourselves. We're a team together, but I am an accountable. I operate from the standpoint of having integrity, and I do things nothing less from that standard. Thank you.
Thank you. And Laurie, now the same question is for you.
Hi, thank you. So, yes, I think like everyone else, I've served on boards. I also have answered to boards. I've been the staff that has had to prepare presentation for boards and be held accountable to boards, and then served on boards and overseen the activities of an organization. So I've done both of those going back at least 20 years at this point. I've worked in the nonprofit world for a long time. What seat? I am DSCC 23A in Orleans Parish, and I am running for clerk on the executive committee. So yes, I've a lot of experience in the nonprofit world. I currently work in the nonprofit world, and I work in the philanthropy section right now. I work helping to both provide funding and technical support for 501c3 groups working in the political space, doing civic engagement and voter engagement, helping to expand their digital capacity. So there are a lot of groups who know their communities well and know how to do traditional organizing or voter outreach, knocking on doors, contacting voters, all of this, but may not fully understand how to reach their communities online or where their communities actually are online. And so I do that. So for me, part of what the clerk needs, you know, if you look at the duties of the clerk, it's really simple. It's two things. It keeps the membership list and calls the roll. It doesn't seem like a lot. But I believe that the executive committee, both as Katie said, needs to hold the chair accountable, but also, as Dustin said, needs to be transparent. And we need to answer to the people that we serve of Louisiana and show them what we're actually doing on a regular basis. And right now that's not actually happening. And the way I feel I can be most effective in the clerk role is I can help to digitize what is happening, to make our records accessible to people. In addition to functioning as a good, solid executive committee, holding the chair accountable, making sure we're actually doing the work that we're there to do. I think that we have a lot of talent in Louisiana, a lot of talent that has not been tapped into. And the more perspectives and voices that we have contributing to this party is great. And we need people in these roles who are going to be energized and engaged and do the actual work. There's so much that the executive committee can do. There's so much that our actual committees can do on the DSCC, and this has all been underutilized. And I would like to be a part of making sure that we're functioning properly.
Thank you so much. All right, So that concludes a lot of the questions Alana had, and I was her proxy to ask the questions on her behalf. Next, Bobby, you're going to be next because we're going in alphabetical order by first name of the board member. So, and how do you intend to organize DSCC members so that they can support you and help you educate our Louisiana legislators about our concerns and positions?
Well, the party has a communications team ultimately that should be communicating the platform of the party, the initiatives of the party, and there should be a communications machine operating. But your question is about how to utilize the DSCC members to work with their legislators. And there are specific committees designated to do that. There are specific roles from within the executive committee structure that are designed to. So the third vice chair is actually the person that from the executive committee that manages the DSCC body communication. And so I would work and empower the third vice chair to really be the face of that communication with the DSCC members. But as far as how that rolls out to the legislators for our initiatives, I believe it is the second vice chair who handles communication directly with the legislators. So we as a team would organize that communication.
Thank you, Katie.
You got it.
Look, I love it. I love it. How that whole entire communication right there. So that does bring to asking Richard, use the same question, but focusing on it from the local standpoint, since fourth vice chair is supposed to do the local. The question is, let's see, let me make sure I got it back up again. How do you intend to organize DSCC members or local DPEC so that they can support you and help you educate our Louisiana legislators about our concerns and positions?
That's a simple thing because for me, it's like the best back of my hand. You have to develop personal relationship to make sure that each people on the local level is talking the same language and obtaining the same message. One of the low points that was lacking when I took over the 4th Congressional District role was that we did not have any communication one with another. I just do what worked for me back in 2008 and 2012, and as you see today, Caddo, for example, has a full committee of people working with each other. It's just a matter of being there accessible one to another, and if necessary, work side by side with them. In my role now, that I don't have to go to a boss man or anything like that. I could travel anywhere in the state and make sure that we have a nice working relationship with one another to make sure that the job gets done. I think I challenge anybody that run against me or runs to see how many people. I will be the most successful person on the executive committee to do what that needs to be done. I can't say it no more than that. I have nothing but time to share, and I'm willing and able and eager to get started effective on April 14th.
Okay. Any for Laurie for the clerk position?
Yeah, I had asked Laurie in the past. I understand that parliamentary procedures have not always been followed. As clerk, if there's not a quorum, which is defined in the bylaws as a majority of members present, Would you object to the meeting going on? Would you even calling the roll to order if we don't have a quorum? Would you be outspoken about that?
I would be very outspoken about making sure that we follow all of our bylaws as well as Robert's Rules of Order. I was, it was student government, but I was a senator and then parliamentarian and then secretary of state of the student government at UNO back when I was there. And so I am very, very cognizant of bylaws, constitutions, rules, and if you don't have a quorum, you don't have a meeting. So our bylaws right now are vague, they're a mess, and I firmly believe that one of the first orders of business has to be to address making sure that our bylaws are actually in good shape. And of course, I will absolutely abide by all of the current bylaws and any amended bylaws to make sure that our meetings run absolutely properly.
Just saying, thank you, Laurie, and thank you, Richard.
Okay.
You're welcome, Bob.
I think that is everybody because Dustin, the question Bobby had was already answered earlier. So next we will move to Kobe. The floor is yours to ask your questions of the different candidates.
All right. Thank you, LT. Before I get started, I just want to commend each and every one of you for running y'all's race, putting your name out there, and then also securing y'all seat. I know a lot of y'all have history of running, and it's hard. I know campaigns are difficult. You're vulnerable, putting yourself out there. But I just want to commend you guys for being progressives and standing up and wanting to make a change. So thank you for that. All right. My first question, I want to start with Katie. You're running for first vice chair. In that position, one of your duties is to step in as chair if that position becomes vacant. And so I know we want a candidate who each day they serve as first vice chair, they're ready to take that step in case something happens. So it's kind of like a 2-for-1 question. I want to know kind of like how you feel about taking on that responsibility on top of your additional first vice chair duties. And also, one of the big things would be fundraising as the chair. I would like to know about your history as a fundraiser and how confident you are, to fulfill that major responsibility as chair if it comes up.
Thank you. I do feel comfortable stepping in if something were to happen to the chair. Now, that would be temporary while we elect a new chair. And I feel very confident in overseeing that process of electing a new chair if something were to happen to the existing chair at that time. So no concerns about that. As far as fundraising, when I ran my congressional campaign, I was really focused on having a message that would reach folks all around the country. And I had my eyes on that because Louisiana doesn't have a lot of money to spend on politics. I believe we need to bring in resources from all around the country to help us in Louisiana. And so I spent time in my congressional campaign building relationships around the country, and I've continued to do that since. For example, with my work with Planned Parenthood, Gulf Coast. And so I oversaw, fundraising for my campaign, but prior to that, I have always been the development committee chair for the boards that I've sat on. So for example, I was on the board of Homer Plessy Community Schools in the French Quarter in Tremay. I oversaw fundraising in partnership with their director of development for 4 years. I was very proud and passionate about that work. When I approached fundraising, so let me say a little bit more about Planned Parenthood. So in the fall, I was the co-chair for the Planned Parenthood annual fundraiser in New Orleans, and we surpassed our fundraising goal by 35%. It was a historic event, and I'm really proud to be a part of it. But I will say the thing about fundraising is there's a team. So we have to have a team that is focused on that fundraising. I know we look a lot to the chair to lead fundraising, but they don't do it alone. And so I think it's important that we acknowledge that, and that there is a robust plan in place. It's multifaceted. So I can tell you just from my political experience fundraising, you have 4 or 5 strategies at play that you're overseeing at all times and pivoting based on what works. But from my experience, I would say dynamic messaging, firm commitment to your platform and your values is the number one thing that will actually get people to invest in us.
Thank you, Katie. Great answer. LT, do you want to let Laurie go real quick? She raised her hand.
Huh? Oh, it's however, yeah. If Laurie wants to go, sure, no problem.
Sure. I know this question wasn't directed at me, but I just wanted to tag on to what Katie said, that as part of what I do in my day job, I'm aware that there is outside money, funders who are interested in Louisiana and want to invest in Louisiana, but don't feel comfortable doing that right now. And we need to give them a space and an actual functioning party and a competent board, executive committee, in order to do that. But yes, we absolutely need outside help right now. That help wants to do something. We just need to give them the confidence to be able to do that and to feel like their money is not going to be wasted. So.
Thank you, Laurie. Well, since you already have the floor, we're gonna. My next question will be for you, Laurie. As clerk, let me scroll down to it. All right. So as clerk, I was reading over kind of your duties before the meeting, and you're keeping records of all roll calls and all attendees of the DSCC meetings. And part of Louisiana Blue Team, our mission is to get activism back out there, get people excited to vote and excited to feel like they can trust in our electoral process. And part of that is knowing that when we do elect somebody to office, that they will show up to the meetings and be active in it. So when you're keeping record about those who have been absent and have like a consistent habit of missing, how do you plan on kind of relaying that back to the voters and let them know, hey, these are the list of people who you elected, they show up, they're active. Here's a list that have not shown up and have not done the job that you, the voter, has entrusted in them.
So yes, I believe that this is an actual issue that needs to be addressed, and that we have people who want to hold a position, but maybe not are super interested in showing up and doing the work. And we actually need hands to do the work. There's a lot of work to be done. First and foremost, there are rules in our bylaws that say how many meetings you can miss, how many meetings you can have a proxy for. And we are not following the consequences if you break any of those rules. We absolutely need people who want to do this work. We can't have people who just want to sit there and take up space in a seat or collect a new title. We need people to do the work. Again, we are in a dire position right now. I think that's pretty clear following our elections in the fall. We are down, but not out. We can absolutely come back from that, but we need people to be there to actually do this work. So yeah, we need to follow what our bylaws say. Again, first we should amend our bylaws, but just our current bylaws, we need to follow what they say. There are mechanisms within our bylaws to remove members who are not actually attending meetings. There are mechanisms for removal and censure for the executive committee to take up for members. We have got to actually follow our rules. Yes, exactly. That is the thing, is there has not been transparency to our members of the Democratic Party statewide, to the voters. no one knows what is happening at these meetings. No one has access to the minutes. No one has access to the attendance rolls. Nobody knows what their actual representative is doing if their representative is not taking the time to convey that to the voters. I think as a DSCC member, you should try to make your constituents aware of what you're actually doing. But I think as executive committee members, we need to make sure that this information is easy and accessible for people to have, so that voters are informed and voters can make correct decisions when they do show up to the polls, and to help drive them to the polls. When people know what's going on, they feel more engaged and they feel more like they're a part of the process, and that's exactly what we need.
Thank you, Laurie. Fantastic answer. That's really what we're looking for, is being able to build that trust. And in order to do that, we have to be transparent. So thank you for the answer. All right, my last two questions will be going to Bobby for second vice chair and Richard for fourth vice chair, respectively. So first I'll start with Bobby. As second vice chair, you are the liaison with all federally elected officials. And that's throughout the entire state of Louisiana for all of our federal elected representatives. Can you kind of give me your agenda, how you plan on building those relationships with these elected officials, and then making them a strategic partner with the Louisiana Democratic Party, so that we can then work together for our voters?
First, I would want to not limit my contact with just Louisiana federal elected officials. I would want to reach out nationally, but primarily Louisiana. I ran for office in October for state representative, and I learned so much through that process. And just joining the DSCC, I feel like I'm a sponge, just soaking up everything that I can and reading everything that I can, so that I'm on top of things. In the early 90s, or even before that in the 80s, I was up in DC visiting senators and representatives often. So I've already done this to some degree. And that was concerning the HIV and AIDS issues in the early days, when the president had not mentioned the word for the first 5 years. So we had a hard battle there, but I think we're successful overall. So it would not only be through correspondence and communicating through writing, but also I would like to be on a plane very often to DC with meetings with the congressional staff, and keeping them abreast of our platform in Louisiana and what we are striving to do. There was one other point that I wanted to make. Oh, I met quite a few, and I've already known quite a few legislators in Louisiana. In fact, I went to high school with some of them, and we go way back. So I already have an entrance into the state Democratic Party there, and these senators can certainly introduce me to their fellow legislators. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. And I lied a little bit. I forgot. I do have two more questions because I forgot Dustin up there. I don't want you to think I forgot about you. I do have a question for you. All right. And Richard, so the same question for you. As fourth vice chair, you are the liaison for our local elected officials. Can you give me some examples of how you plan on building sustainable relationships and partnerships with our elected officials throughout the state?
Basically, Kobe, the way that I did was when I was with the Cattle Parish Commission as administrative assistant. That was my job, to go to each town, each body within the parish, and develop a working relationship with them on a personal basis. I do have the time to do that, even if it means 40 hours a week. I have time on top of time to get that done. So my accessibility to get done what needs to be done. I challenge anybody that's running for any office on the executive committee to match that. I just be here to, if I have to go down to camera pass, I'm willing to do that. If I'm willing to go down to the mouth of the Mississippi River, I'm willing to do that. I've done that through Caddo, Northwest Louisiana, and consistently throughout my professional life. And since my wife is from Northeast Louisiana, I know Northeast Louisiana very well. So I go wherever we need to do to set up the proper relationship that need to be set up close and personal, and make sure that we be all on the same page to make sure that the job gets done.
Thank you, Richard. All right, and my last question is for Dustin. So this question was really kind of dropped on me by our first town hall we had. We had a Louisiana Blue Team member who was really energized and geared up to run a federal election. And she really had the wind knocked out of her and like the rug put off her feet when she went to the Louisiana Democratic Party and said, "Hey, I'm willing to step up against this really dominant Republican figure. Can you guys help me financially to get started, at least, like to help get the campaign off the ground?" And the door was closed on her, and she was not given any like startup and incentives. And part again of Louisiana Blue Team's mission is to energize our voters to step up and put themselves out there and put themselves in the line of fire when it comes to running for offices. Going forward with Louisiana Democratic Party, do you feel that we can set aside some funds for candidates that have the one step up, and so that we can encourage them and empower them that will have their back as a party?
Yeah, thank you for asking that, because I can relate to that question because I've never gotten any help from the state party at all in the two races that I ran for, so I can very much relate. The second one, statewide, I went into it knowing that we probably wouldn't get any help, but it still would have been nice, because one of the few things I ever asked of our current chair, Katie, was like, because she would call, the few times that she did call me, she was say that I need to talk to Cedric Richmond at the DNC, and because I really wanted access to somebody nationally, and I felt like I would ask her for his number, and I was sent to somebody else in New Orleans, a gatekeeper who held it over me, and this is just completely uncalled for. Like, I could handle that, but like a lot of people, if they're getting started out of and they're putting themselves out there for a statewide race or Congress or whatever, it's so hard. We don't need any roadblocks put up in a chair or any executive committee position if they use it against people that are wanting to put themselves out there and donate their time is uncalled for. But to answer your question, yeah, we do need to help people that are willing to do it. Like, for instance, van. I think they upped the prices. I paid for a statewide van $10,000. It was a lot of money compared to like what we were raising. In my opinion, vans should be very affordable, if not free in some elections. We should be raising money just for that. As far as like a startup cost, yeah, I think there's some things that the state party could even provide that may be worth a lot of money and not giving just cash, but there's a lot of the infrastructure that we could build could be used to help certain candidates. Call lists, email lists, things like that to help them get going. Yeah, if we have enough money, definitely funds too. I know that those are going to be short for a while because our previous leadership has kind of left the cupboards bare. And that's one thing I would do as treasurer too, is, fuel is, or the money is the fuel of politics. That's just how it is. And as treasurer, I would help to talk to others. Just now we're talking about helping with fundraising. I think the treasurer should do that too, because we need to have more money coming in to the treasury, and we need to make sure that it's being allocated correctly. If somebody that's not doing their job and they're getting overpaid, it's up to the treasurer to bring it up to the executive committee and hold the people in power account. Like, why are we spending this much money? Do we need to change this? Call it out. But yeah, our future candidates need so much help at this vulnerable point in their time, because a lot of times they're stepping up in almost impossible races. I mean, I was faced with that. Katie Darling was faced with that. Many of others were faced with that. So we need all the help we can get. So I would work very hard for that, Colby.
Thank you for that answer. That's what I was wanting to hear. That I know it's going to be an uphill battle for us to do it as a party, because the piggy bank is pretty empty right now. So we got to build that up first. But I'm glad to hear that you're willing to bring that to the DSCC.
Yeah, there's other ways like we can help people, like things that are very valuable, like call lists and stuff like that. Or also having an inventory of consultants that are vetted by our party, because one of the biggest problems that candidates have is they don't know who to work for. You get approached by everybody. You don't know who's good or who's not. I think we should have a vetted people in all different regions that can help it at lower cost too. If you want to be in the inventory for a state party, like, you should be able to offer discounted services somewhat.
Good, sir. Thank you, Dustin.
Kathy, the floor is yours for any questions that you have.
But honestly, I mean, I've heard most of it. I don't really have any questions. I think y'all are all very well qualified and very well versed on those roles. And Lord, Dustin, if we have to have Dustin as treasurer, please, because our financial reports have been ridiculously scarce. And if you don't have transparency, you can't raise money. Those flow together. So I thank y'all all for stepping up, and definitely support y'all. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Kathy. All right, here's my question. And I asked it to Randall Gaines too when I talked to him. Elections in North Louisiana have received fewer resources and attention than those in South Louisiana, even when we talk about statewide elections. GOTV initiatives in the north end of the parish is not as lucrative as it is in the south end. How will you establish a balance to ensure there's equal distribution of sources for elections throughout the state? And I'm going to actually start that question with Dustin.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a high return on investment there, if you want to use those terms, because you get what you pay for sometimes. And a lot of these areas, especially in North Louisiana, there's a lot of people there that we need to energize and motivate and get out the vote on. I mean, look what we're able to do when we put our mind to it with our new sheriff over there in Caddo Parish. There's a lot of voters over there. So I think that, yeah, we need to be fair with it. And I've noticed, because one of the good things about running statewide is you meet people in all areas. So I traveled to North Louisiana a lot. And I would say there's some of our hardest working volunteers that I've seen throughout the entire state were up in North Louisiana. So yes, we need to get the resources. The people that want it, we gotta find a way to get it to them.
Thank you so much and stuff. And we actually have people on here that I'm looking at that can firsthand attest to that. Katie, the same question for you. Just your thoughts.
Well, the reason I'm here tonight with this group is because, again, it's all about the teamwork. And I, in any position, will need to rely on the experts from different parts of the state to work with me on what those needs are. So it's going to require a lot of collaboration to know what resources need to go where and to be strategizing. And that's why I wanted to be here with y'all tonight, to hear what your thoughts are, what your questions are. It matters that we all continue to talk and have dialogue about what the priorities need to be. So it's going to be through collaboration and teamwork. I think that we identify where the resources need to go, what needs to be prioritized. But I'm going to be counting on y'all to let me know that, and through our relationship. And it'll be through relationship building that we have that open dialogue, that you're able to call me and say, hey, we're working on this race and these are the resources we need. And you'll have that kind of relationship also with that I believe you've already established with Dustin, for example. And so we are going to form healthy relationships that allow us to operate at a higher level that we have not been able to reach yet.
Thank you so much. Continuing on, this is the type of question that just bounces off thoughts in your respective role, how you play into it. So, Bobby, if elected as second vice president, what are your vice chair? I'm sorry. What are your thoughts?
Well, I guess I'm a little unique because during my run in last fall, I was endorsed by the Louisiana Democratic Party, and I think that's their first criteria in funding and helping a campaign. And to be completely transparent with you, I go back to my relationships, and it was my high school friendship, well, actually junior high and high school, with Sam Jenkins, who's just been elected senator. He, of course, was very powerful is very powerful in the Democratic Party. And he, I think, steered assistance my way. I didn't get a check in the mail, but they did help me out with some postcards and mailing. And I'll tell you that my campaign, with the help of Alana Oldham, was the strongest campaign for any office, I think, in the Shreveport-Caddo Parish area. However, I live in a gerrymandered district. It was just redrawn right before my election, or before the election, and it's impossible. It's like 80-something% Republican, and they know what they're doing, but you can't give up. You have to keep fighting and find another way to get to the people. I'm very discouraged that after looking on the Secretary of State's website, which is not always up to date, but hopefully these figures are, but we have almost 200,000 more registered Democrats in this state than Republicans. It's 170. I need to find out the exact number, but that's mind-blowing that we can't win elections. So we have to concentrate on getting that vote out, and fundraising ties in with that. So those are my thoughts.
Thank you. Richard, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm just sitting here thinking about the whole scenario, especially since October 14th, which basically almost fell out of the seat after I saw the final result. Right now, I live in the center of North Louisiana, in western Louisiana. Lincoln Parish, along with Denver Parish, and a couple of other parishes in North Louisiana, is sort of like to turn blue. It's not funny. The biggest problem that I see is that, and I'm not going to name names, but I will after I'm elected, I will call some people out, is that we got too many people that too concerned with their titles and enhancing their resumes that we can't get nothing done. It's a fact that if we do like Bobby said, if we concentrate on our numbers and concentrate on the advantages that we have, we can win a lot more elections than we are doing just by the number. But we're not doing that. So one thing that I'm gonna concentrate a lot on, since I live right between two prominent universities, is that I'm gonna work with the young people to make sure that they get more involved with the message that we have to offer to them. And I think it's an attractive message that they can embrace. So my strongest qualification once again is, since I'm a retired person and I have nothing but time, is I'm accessible, but also in my duty as the fourth vice chair of the Louisiana Democratic Party hold me accountable as well to get done what we need to get done and to do so in a effective way. And in theory, I agree 100% with what Katie Darling had to say. It's all about relationships and being able to make come to pass reality.
Thank you so much, Richard. And Laurie, even in the position of clerk, the same question applies. And what are your thoughts?
Sure. So I think, we can all look at the state of affairs and agree that Louisiana is not the type of state where you're going to win elections by solely focusing on large urban centers. We need a statewide strategy. We need to make sure that we're including everyone. We need to make sure that our party leaders and elected officials are reflective of the actual communities in our state. We're getting better about that, but we could certainly do a much better job. I don't know why you would look at certain areas of the state and leave votes on the table. You have got to be reaching out to every corner of this state. Rural organizing is absolutely huge, and we should be focusing on that. We are a largely rural state. We have to engage people in this process. We have to get people informed, interested, excited, and get them to the polls, get them to run for office, all of these sorts of things. If we're not, we're just leaving low-hanging fruit out, that we could be utilizing. And, I don't mean low-hanging fruit pejoratively or in a negative sort of way. It's like there are people in these areas who are interested and want to do the work, and we just have to harness that. We have to make sure that we're talking to them, that we're including them in conversations, and we're including them in strategies, so that we're not leaving votes on the table. We're not leaving candidates on the table. We're not leaving volunteers on the table. So definitely 100% statewide strategy and reaching out to the local people on the ground in those communities who know their people best and know how to and are willing to do some local and hyper local work to make us a holistic statewide party.
Thank you so much. Bobby, I saw your hand go up. Question, comment?
Yes, Laurie, I just want to commend your earlier statements about what you're doing in your current job with reaching out to people, finding their social groups. I'm very impressed with that strategy, and I don't know if it would apply to the clerk, but I hope you'll share that knowledge with the executive team. And that sounds like a great first strategy. Thank
you for actually talking about that, because I do want to address that a little bit. So, to one of your points, yes, clerk doesn't have a ton of duties outlined in the bylaws, but this is not just about being the clerk. The executive committee can function as a whole and do lots of things together as a body. But yes, my actual everyday work is to reach out to what we call hard to contact or underserved or underreached populations. There are people, like large communities, who are not being reached by existing voter contact efforts, and we can't just leave them alone and siloed and unaware of what's going on. We have to make sure that we're reaching out to people. They might not be easily found by traditional organizing, so how do we find them? Where do they actually spend their time? Are they spending their time online in certain pockets? Are they spending it physically in certain areas? How do we appeal to them and get them informed and engaged? So I'm very passionate about this and making sure that every person is reached, every person has the opportunity to have their voice heard, every vote is counted. And I think if you are doing anything, and this goes back to the transparency issue, if you are doing anything that is excluding people from the voting process, or if you are hiding what it is that you're doing as a body, you are doing something wrong. Reaching out to every single person in our state is not only the right thing to do, it is the strategic thing to do. And we would be foolish to not really look into that and utilize that much more. So.
All right. Thank you so much. That's all the questions that I have. Thank you all for the feedback. The issue with the North and the South is something that comes up so much, and I just had to ask. I really did. So now, Richard, you're our last of the evening. Do you have any questions or anything that you want to ask?
I just want to basically just piggyback off that. I just want to say thank you for being a teammate of mine. I consider that an honor. I don't take that lightly. This is for me personally. It's a very exciting time to get involved in the politics of the Louisiana Democratic Party, and I consider it an honor. I guess if I want to leave this with you, two things. One, I promise that I will do my best to do my duty at all times while I am an elected official of the Louisiana Democratic Party, and to do it with the utmost of integrity. And also, if I do not do it, do not feel intimidated to call me out. And if I don't do what I'm supposed to do, you can have me replaced.
Okay.
That's
Thank
all
you.
I have to say.
All right, Richard. Thank you so much. Last but not least, I just want to take the time to thank everybody for stepping up for this. I think we all can say that what is our common thread is that we want our party to survive. We want our party to become healthy again, and we want our party to be a party that those who are getting disenfranchised by that other party, that they have somewhere to go and have their voices heard and know that they're going to have people fighting for them. So I just thank every single one of you all. I'm so excited about seeing this many people who are stepping up and coming from some great backgrounds. And so this is definitely restoring my faith. I'm telling you. Kobe, I see your hands raised.
Thank you, LT. I just want to echo LT's thanking the candidates for coming tonight. It means a lot to see so many candidates within the DSCC stepping up, so many progressive ones. It's also such a great opportunity we have to have two progressive coalitions working in unison. And I'm so excited about the teamwork and partnership that we have with Louisiana Blue Team and then the DSCC Progressive Caucus. That partnership really just brings me so much joy, and knowing that we have double the effort out there right now to really make a change. So just thank you for coming tonight, and just keep up the good fight.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Thank y'all.